to another episode of Subscription Ecommerce Live. I'm your host, Ashley Gattuso. We are joined today by Derric Haynie. Am I saying that correctly, Derric?
Yeah,
Haynie.
that's me.
Hey, we're so excited to have him. He is the expert behind ecommercetech.io, which now has an app where you can go and check out the way you're using your tool set for e-commerce and what other tools you might be needing to look at. I just got a sneak peek. I think he's going to give us one also. And I'm really, really excited about that. But beyond the app, this company has been he gives recommendations, like consultations to people, right? Like someone can book a time with you and you will review their tech stack as a Shopify seller or an e-commerce seller.
That's how it all kind of started, talking with merchants about the tools they're using. I realized that I had a better understanding of what tools they should be using, and I could give some pretty straightforward advice to them to help them out. So I said, you know what, why don't I meet with more merchants, talk them through what they're doing, point them to some of the right tools in the ecosystem. And I kind of figured, I would do it for free. And then the long-term strategy was bringing in the partners that I ended up recommending a lot. Because I just knew the tools in the ecosystem. I was like, well, since I know these about these tools so well, why don't I just go join their partner program? And then maybe if I recommend this to somebody, I can make a commission off of it. So that was kind of like the beginning premise of it. And of course, while I'm making that commission, it costs the merchant. There's no cost to the merchant in many cases, especially when we do this at kind of mass. We're able to negotiate discounts or custom onboarding and things like that. But the problem is that there's 15,000 tools serving e-commerce merchants, 6,500 apps in the App Store ecosystem, and I'm just one man. I can't possibly think or remember much more than about 20 or 30 apps at any given time. So I was like, okay, I'll create a library, I'll create a database, I'll create like a structured format for all this stuff so that I can house this information and then better funnel it through my brain into the merchant. And then I said, you know what? I can't scale my brain that far. I need to replace myself. So we started creating an algorithmic approach to this where merchants can actually use our tools to research, discover, and buy technology products, basically going through the same process that I would go through with a merchant in a manual capacity, which was essentially, I would just ask, what are the tools you're currently using? How much money do you make? What's your average order value? What's the repeat purchase rate of your customer? You just start to understand, like, how many SKUs do you have? How many orders a month? Like, what's the size of the team? You ask some really basic questions and you understand, okay, this is where this merchant is at. And then you kind of look at the tools and you go, oh my God, you're missing a personalization product, or what, you haven't dabbled in SMS yet? Or maybe you have pretty good retention, since we're here on a subscription podcast, right? You have pretty good retention. Have you thought about launching a mobile app? It's only like it's actually a lot easier than you think. It could be as low as $100 a month, could really bump up retention metrics and so forth and so on. So just by knowing the ecosystem and then seeing where the merchant was at, I was able to make the connection. Then I said, let's replace myself with technology and see if we can't do this better at scale.
Okay, so you're using technology instead of cloning. Which...
yeah, that's a different type of technology. I'm weaker on the biotech side.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, so you have a pretty interesting history that led you to the path or the place that you are right now. So can you walk us through quickly before we get into, I am super excited about the strategy that you're going to talk us through that worked really well when you were at BoxyCharm, but that has reminded me that I'm going to do my only little promotional bit that I do. We almost let me forget. What would the people think if I didn't mention that this is brought to you by Get ARPU? Go to getarpu.com to check it out. We work with recharge merchants who are selling on Shopify or BigCommerce, and we provide an upcoming shipment notification that increases your AOVs and your LTV while reducing churn with 2-click upsells and delays. So that also includes, we're really excited about this, custom messages based on either the subscription product or the renewal count. So you can build in like a loyalty reward program and say, hey, it's your 6th renewal. We wanted you to claim one of these or a free item for being a loyal customer, or you might be giving them a super deep discount, or you might just want to change the language and say, thanks for sticking with us for 6 months. How's this working for you? So you can send customized messages by those two triggers or both together. So a lot of really fun things are happening in these upcoming shipment notifications. All right, handing it back over to Derric. Tell us where you started and where you are now and what got you there. And then let's jump right into tactics that people can take away and use.
Yeah. And by the way, yeah, love the tool. And I always recommend you guys when I see recharge merchants that are struggling with churn, or really just at any point of reasonable scale, like 500 plus subscriptions, it starts to become, something that really needs to be brought to their attention. So me, past, present, and future. I back in the day, I played high stakes poker professionally. So I was an author, a coach, a columnist, and had studied the game quite extensively, probably like risen to kind of like the masters, high masters, low grandmasters level, and played in some of the biggest games out there. And it was good experience. Teaches you a lot about decision making, the flaws of humanity, and a whole bunch of other things. From there, I always wanted to kind of get out and transition into business. So launched my own tech company, which ended up kind of flopping, wasn't a big market for it. Then launched an agency after that, where I had a lot of e-commerce clients, some that were subscription brands. And that's where one of them, BoxyCharm, pulled me in and said, hey, why don't you run our marketing team? And just focus on growing this internally. From there, we were able to grow subscriber base from about 150,000 to 550,000 in about 18 months. And I was only internal for about 6 months. It was really, I don't know if those numbers are completely accurate, but it was something along those lines. It was massive and phenomenal growth. And we were able to really crack the code on scaling via, at that point of scale, you're having problems with operations and lead time on product. And we're trying to match the number of products we have available to sell with the number of customers that are going to buy them, right? And a whole bunch of other unit economic problems that don't exist as much in the early days of subscription. And so we were able to kind of map all that out with a team of about 50 and me leading a lot of the marketing initiatives. And then from there, I was in-house at a company called Gorgeous, help desk for e-commerce, where I was able to see, let's say, subscription brands from the angle of customer service, and using that channel for retention and understanding, the disappointment of customers and how that impacted repeat purchase rate, churn, average order value, referral coefficients, and all of those things. And then that's what led me to launching e-commerce tech. I was seeing the problem inside the technology ecosystem, and then the problem inside the merchant ecosystem around this. In-house at BoxyCharm, one day I'm running the whole marketing department, and so I am looking at the numbers, and I see that I'm looking over the finance guy's shoulder at a spreadsheet in Google or Excel spreadsheet, right? This is how we do things. Of course, you run most of your business on spreadsheets, right? And I just see this line item for Constant Contact, and I was like, Constant Contact, I know this is an email service provider. We don't use Constant Contact for email. Why are we paying $1,100 for Constant Contact when we use Iterable as our email service provider? And the finance guy was like, no, we use Constant Contact, I'm pretty sure. And I was like, who uses it? She's like, point to the person, right? Show me who. And so I had to go ask like every department, hey, have you used it? Have you used it? What's our login? How can I get access to this, right? No one had logged into Constant Contact for 11 months. I spent $1,100 a month on this product. So that was, $10, $11, $12,000 completely wasted technology spend that I was able to like sort out and cancel within a month. And then, and so that was, now one of the things, and I just showed you kind of right before we started, now we can put a user to the tool. And then if that user leaves the company or something changes in the organization, we can say, hey, that user is no longer with us. Maybe we should go look and see if we're still using this tool, right? Ways to just kind of like check on that wasted tool spend. So all that kind of combined to get me to this place where we're monitoring merchants' tool stacks, understanding whether they're getting the value out of the tools, really trying to make sure that they save save money and make money. I think are the two kind of angles there, right? Like you're never going to save your way to growth and success, but you don't want to waste like even $50 a month, right? Like feels like a waste. That's $600 a year, right? In wasted tool spend. I think every, merchant listening would rather have $600 in their pocket than sent to an unused technology partner, right? And so, yeah, that's the journey, past, present, and future.
Excellent. I feel like we've got a good bit of context for the credibility that you're about to bring when we talk about the number one thing that I'm excited about in this conversation, which I'm excited about all the topics, right? But I want to go back to BoxyCharm. I want to go back to a strategy that y'all worked on that grew the subscriber count. Was it 15,000 month
Yeah,
over
and
month?
ended up being just massive for the company.
Excellent. So walk us through, like break that down. Tell us what you decided, what made you decide to do what you did, how you did it, and then what you measured and how you watched it.
Yeah, well, the first thing to start, even before we get into the tactic, are a few things on like what your brand might be if you're a merchant listening, and how it might be similar. The first thing is BoxyCharm is a discovery beauty box that like had I think at the time we had like 500,000 Instagram followers, and I was there when we crested 1 million Instagram followers. It was it was people loved to follow the account because everything that happened on this account was surprise and delight, had a network of influencers behind it, and the charmers, the audience was also the influencer. So there was a lot of buzz, social buzz and virality centered around around this product and product experience, right? So the first thing is just knowing and understanding how viral your product is. Are people raving about you? Do you have this kind of like high net promoter score? Do you have people naturally giving out word of mouth about you, right? And because this is important as we get into the tactic, because if you don't have anything, if you are selling, the difference between discoverability is renewal, right? So discoverability is what our product was or is, and renewal is like Dollar Shave Club. You get the same razors every month. You don't post on social about the same razors every month. You don't shout for, oh my God, I got the same razors I got last month. Nobody is talking about it, right? So you have low virality, low referral coefficient, and so forth. The way that people would talk about you in Dollar Shave Club was differentiated on value, right? It was price was the number one differentiation factor. Just sticking with them because they're an oldie but a goodie, right? But so the way that somebody would refer you is like, hey, like stop using that expensive razor. I'm saving like so much money here. Like go to Dollar Shave Club and get that. So it's much more in a one-to-one capacity when, I don't know, I guess in this case, guys are talking about shaving, which what, Seth, when does that happen? Like we don't really talk about it, but in case somebody actually does, they might actually remind people that they could save money by going over to this thing. So is your product viral? Do you have referral coefficient? Are people actually really trying to tell others about your product, and why would they? That's the first starting point. Then and the second thing about what we ended up doing was it was a function of it was operations, customer service, and marketing really all working together. So depending on the size of your organization, that might be 1, 3, 5, 10 people that all need to be bought into how the business is going to change around this offering that we created essentially. So what is it? How does it work? Getting into it. Actually, it's not too dissimilar from the basic functionalities of ARPU, but we were doing this, I think ARPU was around, but we had to do it manually because of the way that our whole business worked, plus their own Magento, which is, don't get me started on that. But what we realized, of course, was the number one most opened email from all customers is the shipping notification email. This is it was opening at like 130%, and charmers were loving it. They would get their subscription every month, and they would open this email and wait for it to come. When is it coming? When is it coming? Because they get billed on the first, and a lot of people would see that, right? They would see the bill on their like credit card or whatever, and they'd be like, where's my box? Like this, so all the messages would come into customer service around it and all that stuff. So they'd know to check their email to see like tracking notifications and things like that. Unfortunately, the tracking notifications would often just be box has left warehouse, and then it wouldn't check in for like 7 more days. So that brought a whole flurry of customer service issues, but it actually brought the charmers back to clicking on the email to see if it updated,
Oh, so that was like the over 100% open rate
Yeah,
was due to the continue.
due to
Okay.
a
I
poor customer
follow.
experience,
I
which I wouldn't
follow.
always recommend, but it has a hidden secret benefit, I would say,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And you can figure out how to tweak your customer experience to get that opened over and over again. But the most important thing is that is what we included on the shipping notification email right there at the bottom of it. It was just an image that we added, and there are rules and restrictions around billing and notification emails and how much marketing you're allowed to do in them.
Mm-hmm.
But we pushed the limit because we had control over our transactional email API or something like that. So we were able to kind of like get this into the inbox consistently and we didn't make it a marketing oriented email. The entire top of the email was this. We just had this one image at the bottom that, and before I tell you what it said, you're going into the meeting talking about this, I'm talking with the team, and I'm talking with our brands department, who's complaining. Essentially, they're saying, we bought 150,000 lip glosses and we only gave out 132,000. We have 18,000 leftover lip glosses that we can't put in the next month's box because we don't have enough of them. We don't have a website to sell them on. They're just sitting in inventory. And I was like, what else is sitting in inventory? And we had this person come up with a report, again, Excel spreadsheets, because this is how this company operated. I don't know why. And it's like, oh, look at all these things, 13,000, 15,000, 8,000. And I was like, I know how to get rid of this. And I can make it make money for us. Essentially, we couldn't, like, there were certain also restrictions because of how we got this product on how we could sell it. Long story short, just about like the business model, because we had bought them like wholesale from a supplier, so reselling them at like a low value would be like against terms or something like that. But I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to tell charmers that if they refer a friend to the business, we'll give them a lip gloss. And then we had this executive meeting, and I said, okay, so we've got 2 options here. The charmer that refers somebody can get a free lip gloss in their next box. Or actually, I guess it's 3 options. The charmer that takes the offer could get the free lip gloss in their next box, or both of them could get it. So it's single sided referral, double referral is essentially the options we have here. And I wanted to run a test, but we weren't really, you can't really run a test here, because if half of your audience is doing single and half is doing double and they all talk to each other on social media, you're going to piss off a bunch of people. So there's, and now we could have maybe done month 1 is single and then month 2 is double as a test, but before after tests like that aren't necessarily conclusive either. So we just said, what's best for the customer, and does double referral work in within our margin, because this is a discovery product and it's actually operates on very slim margins that only work at scale. It's a $21 a month subscription with $110 in product in a box that has to ship in a very small USPS media mail package. And all of these things have to come together because it's scaled across hundreds of thousands of people. And so we had to fit the product in this box with 5 other products, which changed every month, right? And so there were a lot of operational constraints. There's a weight limit and a size limit to what we can add into everybody's box, right? So yeah, in this image, it said, refer a friend, and in your next box, you'll get the lip gloss, and then in their next box, they'll get the lip gloss. And we just put it at the bottom as an image, and that image had it linked to their dashboard where they were able to grab a specific to them URL tracking code, right? So that when they referred a friend, we could see it in the back end of the dashboard. So I don't remember exactly how we did that. It might have even been an in-house referral program that we were using to track that. I'd recommend another tool like Referral Candy or another partner like that for some of the Shopify merchants listening. There's Loyalty Tools, Smile, and Loyalty Line. You've probably got a bunch of partners you're thinking of as well. But you have to have the unique tracking link, and then it actually did become quite a pain on operations. Again, it took the entire organization to pull this program off. It wasn't just like a simple marketing ploy. I wish it was that easy. And so charmers are referring other charmers. And by the way, if you referred a friend, you had to stay subscribed until next month in order to get this product. Otherwise, you just wouldn't get it. So there was no ship the product solo or anything like that, right? So that was keen for, it really helped
Right.
bump up retention. It just like nudged retention up just a
Right.
little bit, right? Yeah, like I think the first month we got like 5,000 referrals through this, something like that, and we were probably at like 350,000 charmers at that time. And so that was pretty big because it was zero marketing. Now, some of that might have happened organically through word of mouth anyways, but probably like 80-90% of it is essentially new through the incentive program that we laid out there. And we only promoted it at the bottom of this shipping transaction email. We didn't put it anywhere else. We didn't standalone emails or anything like that. It was just this one box at the bottom of this most popular email that allowed them to click through into their dashboard, grab the link, tell a friend, probably via like dark social, which is Messenger, WhatsApp, and things like that, Instagram DMs, because like I didn't see it a ton posted in public social forums where people like use my link or anything like that. And it just worked like a charm. Yeah. Okay, all right. Sorry,
Okay,
I'll try not to do that again.
So
Dad jokes here.
Here's the thought. Now I'm totally game. Like Seth can tell you, I'm the queen of horrible, awful puns, and I had to filter myself at times. But the thing that strikes me about that plan, and this is the thing that works good about shipping soon emails that do deliver that critical information up top. Like that's the information people want and expect in a good subscriber experience, right? They want what's coming and when is my card going to be charged? And then what is my deadline to make changes to this? And in our case, like most of our merchants are allowing you to add an item or to potentially delay, or like, so you need a very clear deadline. I consider what you're doing, or we're doing, what you'd call like PS marketing.
Because
it's
exactly.
marketing, but it's like front loading that email with all the things you're doing to serve. And then like PS, you could, get something even better if you're interested in this. It's not like in your face, do this for us. And it probably wouldn't have worked if you did it that way with like a separate email that was suddenly now you were a brand that is pushing referrals. It works better if you are not burying it, but making it a second CTA of sorts, like, or also a second bit of information.
You're getting the person excited about what they're reading first, then the excitement is now transferred into something like FOMO or further excitement over what, the PS marketing message. And so, it's, it's not actually framing it like, because usually framing is setting them up for your marketing message, but it's actually kind of it's framing their state of mind, but it's not framing the offer in any special way. It's just like it's priming is what it is. It's priming, not framing. And so I think under the right conditions, especially with D2C brands, and especially on the discoverability side where people are already willing to talk and share about you, it's the perfect time and place for that. One thing I will say, which was interesting, by putting this at the bottom of emails, it actually increased email open rates. So people would go back to the email just to click on this link. We saw that happen thousands of times. And the reason was because they didn't know that they could actually just type in BoxyCharm.com and like log in that way. So they wanted to click on the link, which basically took them to the same login page that you would have if you just went to the site. But what they would do is, and this is where, it's not technically even the perfect place for this offer, because they don't want to share about the product unless they've got the product. And so if they're looking, where's my order, they're looking at this email, waiting for the box to hit them, right? Waiting for them to be fulfilled by the promise of that $21 they paid, of the value that they're going to get, the $110 in product that they're going to receive, which often as soon as they get it, they would post on social and share about it. So what they would do is they would see the offer early, remember it, which is hard. It's hard to occupy, somebody's time and get them to remember. Then they would get their box, open it, be excited, share on social, and like maybe as they're sharing on social or right thereafter, they'd go back to the email, click the thing, get their link, and then, you know, and then DM people with that or whatever it is to really make sure that they're sharing it out. So it's an interesting journey. Like if you really try and map and understand that user journey of how they're interacting, I do think there is a way to optimize it, because we don't, you know, we actually want to catch them right there at that moment of social with the link, not in the shipping notification. Shipping notification might be priming and also framing, I guess, too, when it sees the offer. But if there was another way to ease that, I wonder if we could have gotten that referral coefficient up a lot higher.
Interesting. So I know some people who are listening to this who are ARPU merchants right now would be curious if they should try this strategy. I don't think, from my knowledge of our customer base, that anyone, at least they haven't come through asking us how to implement it, but it is possible within the way you can go and change any of our templates with the custom HTML to add in this. So if you're using Loyalty Lion, or if you're using, what is it? Referral Candy.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're using that, you would be able to drop that right in. But I think it would be interesting to get a percentage of our customer base testing this on different product verticals and different types, so that we could kind of hone in and create almost like best practices for your product type and for that virality factor that we're talking about. Because you're right, it's not like I'm going to get my chicken stock once a month and be like, woo, the chicken stock, right? But we did see Kettle on Fire. They're doing something interesting, which is in like a top performer deck that we put together. And Kettle on Fire, Wilson Hung is behind ARPU in the first place. But I think it's really smart. It's in their the first renewal, right? So that one after people have subscribed to save, but they're like, do I stay subscribed kind of mentality? They're putting in it's a mystery gift that you can claim. And so you have to so they're training people to open that email because there might be something good in it for them, right? And then they're making you take an action with that email, which is then like improving deliverability and like just all the things you want happening with email. But it's also hitting them right at that moment when you're like, do I say subscribe to this for more than the one? Like, did I subscribe just to save some money and now I want to unsubscribe, or do I want to stick around? Well, I've got a free gift coming to me if I stick around, kind of thing. I feel like this is in that same wheelhouse of what can you do to excite people about the next shipment, and then what can I do to enable or like empower people to share this with people who will be excited about it as well.
Yeah.
Right. I think it conveys differently. Like some products are super Instagram-able or super TikTokable, I guess. But some are more like, hey mom, just wanted to forward you this. I could save you some time on your grocery list.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I think that's a brilliant time to get that, you know, first to second subscription, you know, retention rate higher. And then I would say like right after that might be the moment where you bring in the referral. So they've gotten their second box or shipment delivered, and then you introduce this refer a friend, and you'll each get another mystery product, right? You'll each get a mystery product in your next box. And you can test, should it be a mystery product? Should it not? Some of the other kind of fundamentals of this, again, for us, it was really important that it fit in the same package, because we did not want to be shipping it out separately and incurring a whole bunch more costs in shipping. Really important for us as well. In beauty, cost of goods sold is often, you know, like $1.98 for a $40 pallet, right? So like the margin between cost of goods sold and what the perceived value of a product is, there's a big difference there. And so if you can find, like think about like anti-aging creams and things like that, you know, they cost $2.98 to create, but people are selling them for $80 or $90. And a lot of that might have to do with research and development, but it's also hype and branding and other things. But so think about, is this product practical to ship with my existing products? Can I even include these things in a package together. Then you also have to think about operations. Okay, if I did include them together, how would I tell my logistics team on putting these together? Like, because it's not going to appear as the same order in the back end of your Shopify. Oftentimes you have to actually go in and modify this line item by line item. And what we would do is actually export an Excel spreadsheet of the customers, their orders, and what we call the bill of materials, the BOM, the kit that would actually make up what was going to be sent to them. So we'd say, hold these 13,000 orders, take them off of the line at the 3PL warehouse. And instead of doing the regular thing, and make sure you add this product, and then make sure you put the right labels on those 13,000 products. And so that's a big logistical hurdle. And you also need to understand what's your cost of in the 3PL. They're going to charge you an extra 18 cents or whatever it is, right? You need to have the right kind of supply chain in place in order to pull this off at scale. Now, if you're pick and packing yourself, from your home or home office or garage, not a big deal, but at some point at scale, it does become a problem.
Sure. And so like people who are not doing a subscription box, people who are like, because we have both on our platform, right? So people who are doing like the one-time upsell, et cetera, that's all just going through and being added to the Shopify. Listen to me acting like I know exactly how it technically works.
No, it goes to the Shopify order. It usually
And so then it's like a change to what needs to be packed in X days, right?
Yeah,
so
because usually it's not even processed as an order because it's a free product. So you're not like going through checkout for it. So like somebody would manually, as an example, go into the recharge order and then add a product to it. But that product isn't even a subscription product, right? So it's adding a one-time product to an existing order, or they would have to tell the logistics team, like, for this person, add this order. They might do in some semi-manual capacity. So there's certainly a hurdle there. I've talked about this concept, and it worked really so well, at BoxyCharm, and I think it can work so well for so many other brands. But I wish there was just a tool that solved this, but I've never actually seen a tool that implements a double referral program. If I wasn't doing what I was doing right now, I would probably go launch this tech, a tool that just instant double referral program, like understands COGS and then also understands order, shipping, logistics side of it, and just insta solves for all that stuff. I do think it is currently a manual process for most.
Interesting. Okay. So this kind of, it probably 2 minutes back would have been the better segue, but I couldn't help myself with the 3PL discussion. Let's talk about on and off customers, like temporary churn, because I think that's a topic we haven't addressed very often. We offer a delay. So we see a lot of people just delay and then don't delay the next time. And so what we created was what we're calling a subscription, oh my gosh, Seth, I've lost my power to think. It's a delay retention rate. That is what we're calling it, right? And that's a new metric. I made it up. It's a delay retention rate. And it's not made up. It's a real thing. It is the percentage of people who delayed and then had a successful charge after that delay.
Yeah, they may also cancel and then resubscribe. And depending on how you're calculating your retention rates, that might boost your retention rate of like 3 months ago, depending on what you look like, or it might count as a new customer, which then kind of screws with your overall retention rate because technically it's a returning customer. So
and which cohort are they even?
Yeah, they're in two cohorts,
right? Did they just cancel and come back because they knew the first 3 renewals came with free gifts? Maybe so, but the delay retention rate we see across the board is like in the 60 to 65%, like that. And that's really good. Like what we've seen is that people who had ARPU before delay existed, and then after, when they implemented it, saw like, how Recharge has like the reasons for churn. Yeah. And one of those is too much product. Like they have more than they need, so they cancel, right? Yeah. So they saw that drop by 50%.
That's awesome.
Just because they started offering a delay. So what I want you to talk about though is like this temporary churn beyond delay, like the people who actually cancel and come back, and how to understand that and what merchants need to be thinking about with on again, off again. Like we always talk about subscriptions as relationships, and I see this as part of the like Ross, Rachel, we're on a pause, or we've actually ended the relationship and now we're back together again kind of thing.
I think, you know, the first thing is that I think all merchants and a lot of D2C brands are in a state of denial when it comes to the value they're providing their customers. You want to make the transaction and the sale, but you don't necessarily care to perfectly align with the value that your end user is receiving. You just care about the transaction, and then it's like, you know, on them or something along those lines. Now, of course, in subscription, we care more about the customer relationship, but only so much in that it gets us to our next transaction and the one thereafter, right? If there were no transactions, would we care? Would I consider you a customer if you didn't pay me any money? Right? You can be in my tribe without paying me money. I can provide value to you in other ways. Maybe you're reading my emails or enjoying my content, or just hanging out with me and having a good time. So
In the
you have
friend
to,
zone.
yeah, friend zone. Okay, Ross, Rachel, I see. Yeah. So the first component, the only real way we're going to be able to understand, you know, why people are churning and how to create this delayed retention and up it and increase it is when we accept the concept of whether it's too much product. And I think another one is often don't have the money. At least for at BoxyCharm, I know we had thousands of charmers that said, I just don't have the money yet. And I'll pay you $21 next month, right? Or whatever it is. I just need to skip a month so that I can save some money. And so between those two experiences, are you being realistic in the value you're providing? And so we had charmers that had palettes. You would see in their videos palettes of these are makeup palettes for the guys listening, that they last a long time. Like you can probably use a palette like a year. You might have a palette that lasts, you know, each palette lasts a year. They would have palettes, you know, 24 high that they've gotten over the last 2 years from BoxyCharm, because every month you get a palette. Right. And of course, you want to switch between your spring, summer, fall palettes and all that stuff. So it's important to have some differentiation there. But it's kind of like, do I need another palette? So obviously, too much product is going to be a reason to churn. And BoxyCharm solved that by being discoverable and discovering new items and having other components that make you really excited about the box. But in true renewal subscriptions like beef broth or dog food or something like that, I have subscribed for my dog food. I don't need, if I have 2 cases of wet food, I don't need a 3rd case. Of course, I want to pause or cancel. And so it comes down to understanding usage and consumption of that of each individual consumer, and then also segments and cohorts of consumers, meaning how often are you using this product? Oh, I only use it once a week. Oh, well, this is a daily use product, so they're only using it once a week. Of course, they're only going to buy every 3 months, right? So immediately you can say, oh, let's put you on more of a 3-month plan. You're just not a heavy user of our product, right? So whether that's a drink, like a daily detox drink or something that they're just using weekly, or a supplement or something like that, by instantly asking them, it's called zero party data. Ask the customer. They're supposed to be your friends after all, right? We're trying to build this relationship with them. Ask them how often they use it, you know, maybe after 3 weeks or a month or something like that. And then try to create a subscription that aligns with their usage levels, right? Just give them the option that makes the most sense to them. The skip a month that you're talking about, while it's very important, it could be mitigated by better understanding the usage consumption levels of most of your customers, and then giving them the option. Like a monthly subscription it's a human construct that we should be buying things on a monthly cadence, essentially, right? And I do go grocery shopping weekly, and I pay for Netflix monthly, and SaaS is all about monthly recurring, you know, revenue and all that stuff. But technically speaking, I could have a 48-day subscription or a 97-day subscription. Like, just set it to what my usage and consumption levels or my threshold is. And I think that will decrease churn, increase retention, and bring about a phenomenal relationship with the customer.
So you've got me really excited because we're looking through all the improved analytics that are in our roadmap. And one that I'm super excited about is going to be like top delayed items. Because as a merchant, you can then start looking at which items get delayed most frequently and figuring out like what you want to do as a company to create a better subscription cadence for those products.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
if you want to be automating that outreach of like, hey, you've delayed this whatever twice or something along those lines, we would love to recommend to you like this amount at this cadence, which may better fit your needs. Or you can go back and say like, how are they getting into the wrong amount at the wrong cadence in the first place? And can we put in a quiz flow of some sort to help them navigate to the option that we would recommend based on their dog's size, eating habits, whatever, so that then you're getting people into something that they don't delay because it's actually better suited for that cadence. So I'm excited about like kind of bubbling up some information based on the actions that people take to then like make better decisions for certain products. Like if you realize you have a product that gets delayed way more than other products, like what's going on there? What's the story behind it?
And asking the questions, getting the data. I'll also add, you know, you might also want to ask questions about their personal cash flow and personal shelf life. So if your product has its own shelf life, then you kind of have to ship it at a cadence associated with that shelf life. Like if the product only lasts 30 days and the person wants to renew every 90 days, that's kind of like 2 months of no product. So can they get smaller shipments on a regular cadence? But usually it's better for both you and that customer if you can make a large shipment of a shelf stable product up front, right? So can you buy a year subscription ahead of time? Well, you know, of course, there's limitations on the product standpoint first, but secondly is, would you want to buy a year's supply up front? Do you have room in your own, you know, pantry to sit on, let's say 12 cases of dark pepper or whatever, you know, whatever drink I'm selling, my CBD soft drink and all that stuff. Because those things are good, by the way, but that's like $1,000 worth of product, right? Like, so it's like if some people might want to buy like a more upfront, and of course you can give us a small discount, and that kind of goes back to the why are people churning, but also why am I a subscription product? As you know, as a core question, why is being a subscription product meaningful for my business? Some people do just use subscribe and save as a way to increase lifetime value, even though the product is essentially just a single purchase. You know, so it's just getting more single purchases through the door before getting them to churn. But you could argue that that could be done through email marketing and branding and just asking them to buy again. Essentially, it usually does increase the overall lifetime value, but it often comes at the cost of things like net promoter score and customer satisfaction, because it's like, oh, I didn't want the third and fourth case delivered to me. But of course, if we have this connection with the customer and we've asked these questions from them and understand their usage levels and their goals with it, then we provide them with the right amount of product for them. And maybe that also, I would say often that will also eke out more product than, I don't know, disguising the subscription bill, you know, hiding it as a line item and just, you know, trying to squeeze out an extra dollar, right? So doing it in the user's best interest. Again, the denial of merchants, which is very real. 90+% of merchants really want the transaction and don't want to ask the questions because they're afraid it'll lose them sales. But at the end of the day, it builds the relationship, which should increase lifetime value and revenue.
Excellent. Okay. So we're a CX tool. We are a CX portfolio. Decisions get made based on what is best for the customers, right? Because that's the long game.
I like that.
Right. So one of your talking points, I'm excited about this. And I would love for you to get into tools that you recommend and maybe even practices that you recommend for better managing those customer relationships. Because at the end of the day, we can automate a lot of things, but there has to be like a human service element behind any of those automations. So you have to have made the decision that this is how we want to treat this particular type of situation, right? There has to be a human, even if you want to scale what would be human one-to-one with technology, you still have to figure out what the human decision is.
What are we going to say? How are we going to interact? For now, humans do have to create that part of the process as well. Even though, you know, bot flow sequences and AI is getting closer and closer to becoming our customer service agents. And, you know, 90+% of inquiries can usually be answered by a bot today, and that'll become 99%. That means that somebody has to set up that bot. But as we approach that 99% mark, there will be a point where the bot itself can create its own answers to questions, which will be very interesting. And then the human just might oversee whether the bot is doing a good job or a bad job. But the bot can also test its own responses at scale and improve, because that's what they do best with machine learning algorithms, right?
Oh my God,
So,
that's terrifying.
yeah,
Have you read that there's an article out there that someone shared with me, and it was an AI wrote the article, and the question or the topic was, are human beings intelligent? And the conclusion was no.
Yeah, well, definitely not. And then there's a lot of AI that when it's studying social media and social graphs at large, they go totally haywire, because, you know, social media isn't a good place to, let's say, learn how to talk or how to be a human or anything like that. But to the point of, like, let's say, tools around customer service, it's relationship management. You know, you have your central customer data platform, or CRM. It's been called a few different things these days, a place of centralized truth where you can see communication across all channels. That's one of the most important things. Some companies use a data warehouse and to house all these insights and activity feeds, and then like stream them to a Looker or something like that. You know, most e-commerce merchants are going to use their email service provider, OmniSend, Klaviyo, SendLane, Drip, something like that, as a general central source of truth. Starts to break down as you go into omni-channel and multi-channel marketing, across retail, across other tools and platforms, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Instagram DMs. Are you able to pipe in the data points on those consumers back into this centralized place so that you can see that you actually just sent a email message to the same person you sent a Facebook message to, the same person you sent an SMS message to, is just the same person that has an open ticket asking a question about the product that they can't buy until you answer that question that you just sent them 3 promo emails on, right? So like there's a whole reason for having a unified dashboard and understanding each person individually, and then extrapolating that up to points of scale. So centralized dashboard. When it comes to the channel marketing tools, I kind of mentioned a lot of them. You need to be everywhere, but you need to be helping the consumer figure out which channel it is they want to be on. So let them opt out of email and stay in for SMS if that's what they want to do. And then when it comes to SMS and Facebook and Instagram DMs as well, and WhatsApp, do you have flows and sequences set up so that they can talk back to you and you can engage in a conversation that increases lifetime value? And that last part is the hardest part, right? You can engage in conversations, answer customer service emails, but could you upsell, cross-sell? Could you take them to the checkout page from SMS? Could you send them a skip month order notification from there? Could you show them product SKUs, or get them their loyalty points, or in all sorts of things from all of these channels? You need to have access to all that information. And I'm alluding a little bit to my former company, or the company I was at, Gorgeous, because it's an all-in-one help desk. But that you don't need to use that. You just have to have some tool that is a centralized form of communication across these channels, and able to make it easy for your team, or a macro rule robot, whatever you want to say, asking and answering the right questions to engage with the customer, and again, take them through their own personal journey. And if you're guiding them the same way that you're guiding them walking through the store, right? So if we're in Sephora, right, sells tons of beauty products, usually there's somebody that's going to walk up to you. Can I help you? Oh, let's try on some product. Let me show you over here. This goes great with that product. It's a true in-store experience that people technically are missing in e-commerce. And so just thinking about the tool, the process of being able to do that online. So other things like personalization, post-purchase upsells, automatic login, remembering their login information and credentials, remembering getting their social handles from them, to any tool that can help capture that information. Reviews are also important, and typically you can organize reviews with loyalty, which means when you get a review, you're going to get 100 loyalty points. And you might also integrate that with referral. When you send this review out on social media, by the way, we'll make it really easy. for you to review us on social media, right? So that it's easier to get more virality of the product. We'll automatically give you your link so that you can get that product in your next box for free. Right. So
excellent. Okay. So do all the things that make your customer feel like you're willing to meet them where they are or where they want to be. Maybe that's the better phrase there.
Especially with aspirational products where they want to be. But I guess technically every product has some form of aspiration tied to it, because I'm buying it because I want something from it.
Right. And so we've had conversations about, and I think you would be a great person to talk to about it, about the experience, like the 2-click magic that ARPU has, being something that can be available through customer service responses, like so that it's in their signature or something when they're, like saying, hey, you can upsell or you can swap or you can do a thing. Like, and here are some links that don't require all of this multi-factor verification and all the things that you have to do, right? Like, it's just like, okay, click, done. Right.
Yeah. When I'm on Amazon, I haven't had to log into Amazon for years. I don't know how they do it, but like when, sometimes you verify your account or page at checkout or something, but like, yeah, it's an easy and seamless experience. They know everything about me. So,
yes. Okay. So I dropped some links, guys. If you're on the live Zoom or if you go back, you can check out Derric's biz at it's ecomtech.link/landscape. What is
that's
that?
for a landscape of 240 different Shopify apps for Shopify merchants. So you guys are on there, of course, on the subscription side. But if you want to look at review tools, loyalty tools, referral tools, two-way SMS communication tools, fraud protection tools, which is a big thing as you scale, inventory management solutions, predictive inventory. There's 50 different categories. You can go check it out. I've had merchants print this out and like put it on their wall so they could look at it. I just recommend, when you're thinking about a tool or tool category, like this can just shortcut that decision, and you can actually click through on the PDF to the tools that you're considering. And then you can also use it to maybe discover tools the same way that we're talking about discovery boxes. Our platform is in some ways a discovery platform for technology products, because most people don't know that they could increase revenue with a personalization product, or that they should be thinking about two-way SMS or messenger marketing or that post-purchase upsell page or whatever it is, right? So.
Right. So we had someone on one of these events who had a question, and they just didn't understand that Dunning email programs like Churnbuster existed, right? Yeah. And so it was like, it felt wonderful to be like, no, you can solve this problem with this product kind of conversation going on. So other things that I dropped in the Zoom chat, I kind of butchered my copy paste on the first one. So look at the other links. We've got ecomtech.link/beta, which is going to get you into like the early version of the new app. So check that one out. Anything you want to add about that?
If you're wondering how much you're spending on your tech tools, if you're wondering, what's the next best tool for me, if you want a roadmap for that, if you want to be able to easily compare tools and help your team better utilize them, sign up for the beta. It is, we'll be building out features really through the end of the year before making it publicly available. But you'll be, for you coming in a little bit early, we give you free access to all of our products for life. So there's a nice benefit for you there. And then also, of course, just using the product and having that data at your fingertips, it's completely free. So come on in, join me.
Excellent. And then he's done something very brave. He's given out his email address. So Derric at ecommercetech.io. If anyone wants to reach out with questions or schedule a consultation so that you get the real Derric and not the
future robot Derric.
Algorithmic version of him. I don't know if that's the right way to put that. But check that out, and we will see you again. I think it's going to be in 2 weeks, but it may not be. I'm leaving, guys. I'm taking next week and the week after to go to England, and I will be metal detecting. So I get back like the day of our next session. And I think we may just end up doing a skip week for that. But just pay attention to your emails. If you register for this event, you will see some notifications about who's coming next in June. And as always, thank you for joining us. I look forward to sending out the replay and seeing what little pieces of the conversation people gravitate towards as we continue to build out our content. Big announcement on our end. We are excited to be going to Recharge ChargeX.
Yeah.
That is happening at the beginning of May. And so we've got a couple people from ARPU going. If you're there, come up and say hello to JD and Ryan. They'd be happy to talk to you, answer your questions, and just hang out and have fun. So I'm looking forward to that event and the all the news that comes out of it. All right, I'm going to close this one out unless you have anything further to add.
No, this is awesome. I'm looking at ChargeX. I might be able to go to this actually.
Excellent. Well, let me know. We got a little happy hour going on that
Nice.
be happy to extend a welcome to. All right. Take care, everybody.